together, but so excited to be here with you all. We're talking about the climate economy, and obviously we're talking about it all day. I'd love to kind of define that. Like, what is the climate economy? Is it separate from the rest of the global economy? Or is it its own thing? Or should it be part of the global economy? Is it separate right now, and what we need is to integrate it with the rest of the financial ecosystem? So maybe if you'd like to start and give us a quick introduction of who you are and what you do.
Aloha mai kako. Greetings in Hawaiian. My name is Amanda Ellis, and I live in Hawaii, although I'm originally from Aotearoa, New Zealand. Have had a very varied career, started as a diplomat, was a banker both at the World Bank and started the Global Banking Alliance for Women way back in 2000, which is now the Financial Alliance for Women. I served as New Zealand's ambassador to United Nations while we were running for the Security Council, so I have some experience.
So my name is Trumbic. I'm the manager of the Women Business in the Law Project at the World Bank. We map out how laws and policies affect women's economic opportunities in all spheres, including climate. And what we find is that women still don't have the same rights in many countries. In fact, they have only 2/3 of the rights that men have. And so we need to level that playing field, because that is an untapped resource that exists in most countries that's not being utilized now to solve the problems of the day, including climate. So yes, I agree with everything Amanda said.
Awesome, thank you, and would love to hear from you as well.
Well, hi everyone. My name is Mihaela Gjorcheva. I come from North Macedonia. I represent International Slavic University. It is a private university that was founded by my father now 21 years ago. So I think that climate talks really depend on where you live. In Macedonia is not really a big deal, and this is not a good thing to say, but it is the truth. So what we're doing is introducing new programs for students to be able to educate the new generation. So we have now reintroduced our fire safety program and also the waste management program, which would help train students with theoretical but also practical knowledge for treating waste, and for them to be able to work in companies and contribute to this sustainability issue.
Excuse me, we need a second to get to know each other, but so excited to be here with you all. We're talking about the climate economy, and obviously we're talking about it all day. I'd love to kind of define that. Like, what is the climate economy? Is it separate from the rest of the global economy? Or is it its own thing? Or should it be part of the global economy? Is it separate right now, and what we need is to integrate it with the rest of the financial ecosystem? So maybe if you'd like to start and give us a quick introduction of who you are and what you do.
Aloha mai kako. Greetings in Hawaiian. My name is Amanda Ellis, and I live in Hawaii, although I'm originally from Aotearoa, New Zealand. Have had a very varied career, started as a diplomat, was a banker both at the World Bank and started the Global Banking Alliance for Women way back in 2000, which is now the Financial Alliance for Women. I served as New Zealand's ambassador to United Nations while we were running for the Security Council, so have some experience. And also ran our development agency, now working with philanthropist Julianne Wrigley, and we believe in just and regenerative global futures, grounded in indigenous wisdoms and leveraging high tech that are deliberately multi-stakeholder and transdisciplinary. So I'm very excited about the paradigm. And can I ask a question too, or should we let everyone introduce themselves?
No, please answer the question.
So I think, yes, there is a separate climate economy right now. I am absolutely obsessed with subsidies. I was lucky enough to have a private meeting with Al Gore this morning, and we were both lamenting the fact that the subsidies for fossil fuels are $7.1 trillion per annum. And we all talk about, well, there's not enough capital, there's not enough money. Well, yes, there is, and it is going into the wrong things. It's going into fossil fuel subsidies and polluter not paying. So this was a fabulous panel that I came in on just before. Many of the ideas, I was, yes, clapping. So I think at the moment we are separating those two things, and we are pretending that the damage that is being caused is okay, and that somebody else is going to clean up after us. Right now, there are 3 million orphan oil wells in the US spewing methane. And who's going to pay? the taxpayer is going to pay. So the ridiculous outsized profits that the fossil fuel industry are earning right now makes no sense in the real economy. So yes, we have a separation between long-term value and the climate economy and what is really happening. I also just came from an event right now with Johan Rockström, who has just published the latest planetary update. 7 of the 9 planetary boundaries are out, and we are in really big trouble. So the cost of all this is just exponential. Sorry, you can see I get very excited. I will talk for the whole half hour. I will be quiet.
Thank you so much, and thank you for bringing us in on your meeting with Al Gore. Maybe we should talk more about that. Tay, would love to hear from you a little bit about who you are, what you do, and if you have any thoughts on where the climate economy is today, what it is.
So my name is Trumbic. I'm the manager of the Women, Business, and the Law project at the World Bank. We map out how laws and policies affect women's economic opportunities in all spheres, including climate. And what we find is that women still don't have the same rights in many countries. In fact, they have only 2/3 of the rights that men have. And so we need to level that playing field, because that is an untapped resource that exists in most countries that's not being utilized now to solve the problems of the day, including climate. So yes, I agree with everything Amanda said.
Awesome, thank you, and would love to hear from you as well.
Well, hi everyone. My name is Mihaela Gjorcheva. I come from North Macedonia. I represent International Slavic University. It is a private university that was founded by my father now 21 years ago. So I think that climate talks really depend on where you live. In Macedonia is not really a big deal, and this is not a good thing to say, but it is the truth. So what we're doing is introducing new programs for students to be able to educate the new generations. So we have now reintroduced our fire safety program and also the waste management program, which would help train students with theoretical but also practical knowledge for treating waste, and for them to be able to work in companies and contribute to this sustainability issue.
Yeah, fascinating, and for all of us to learn more about the perspective on climate from Macedonia. So thank you for bringing that here. I think we were initially here to talk about women's entrepreneurship in the climate space. Something I'd love to hear your perspective on is, what can action on climate in the startup world accomplish compared to what we're seeing from big business as well as the public sector? Like, what can startups do, really?
We actually run a program called the We Empower Women Entrepreneurs, the We Empower United Nations Sustainable Development Goal Challenge. And that was launched back in 2018 by the Secretary General, the President of the World Bank, and the Council of Women World Leaders. And I just happen to have some of this year's global winners who are going to stand up, and they're going to tell you in one second what they do, because they are making a big difference in the climate economy.
Oh, geez. Hi, my name is Blini. I come from Iceland. My startup, Katla Carbon, quantifies the climate impact of raising girls' education levels in low-income countries, so that NGOs working on girls' education can become self-reliant by generating carbon credits to have their own revenue instead of depending on philanthropy.
Fantastic. And she's only in Iceland right now, but she's ready to scale. So all the corporates in the room, there's your next set of carbon credits. And waste with AI, and this could be very useful for Macedonia.
Hi everyone, I'm Juveline Goum from Cameroon, but we have expanded our business in Senegal. We use satellite imagery and AI to quickly identify poor waste disposal hotspots, such as plastic waste in communities, on rivers, in coastal areas, and then we work with the communities to collect the waste and recycle through local recycling hubs. Thank you.
So there's just a couple of fabulous examples, and one is in the bathroom, and she has trained 250,000 women in India to be scientific beekeepers, because we really need more pollinators. And she is on track to train another 750,000 by 2028. And thanks to Stuti, the minister has asked for a private audience with her on Friday. So you guys at WIN are just catalysts for all sorts of amazing things. And here's her honey, even if she's in the bathroom, here's her honey.
That's Amazing. And are these problems that you see big business interested in tackling at all, or do we really need entrepreneurs who are going to say, this is my passion and this is what I'm doing?
Well, the data shows that women entrepreneurs are more likely to be interested in sustainability and in intergenerational value. So they actually care about the way in which their businesses impact the planet. And that's why the work that Taya and the team are doing at the World Bank is so important, because even though it's not a level playing field, we women have 2/3 of the global rights of our male counterparts. And yet, we're 1/3 of all businesses and business owners despite all that, and we are adding incredible value doing much more on sustainability and climate. So yes, I think we need it all is the answer, but women entrepreneurs, because in some ways of the additional obstacles, come up with incredible innovation. And actually it's amazing. Juveline's story was so heartbreaking. I was in tears last night. She was with Diane von Furstenberg telling this story. And she grew up as a child not being able to breathe because of all the burning piles of rubbish in Cameroon. So what did she do? She became an engineer and said, I'm going to fix this problem. And now she is in 3 countries, Senegal, Cameroon, and Malawi, working with local governments to help them use AI and satellite imagery to clean up waste so that other girls don't suffer the way she did. So that's transmuting a problem into a solution, and women are brilliant at that.
Incredible. Taya, what is your perspective on how women lead and build differently in the climate space, and any examples that come to mind for you of a woman you've seen building in this category you've been like, wow, that is something that only a woman would do?
Well, I think, as Amanda was saying, women are forced to be innovative and entrepreneurs, and they solve the world's problems. A lot of times those are problems in their own community, they're lacking childcare or financing, and so they find innovative ways. And sometimes those ways are benefiting everyone. But I'd have to say the women I met yesterday through the We Empower are truly impressive. And Monica, who's not here, she's building the Golden Revolution, that is helping both empower rural women who are currently not working, so it's creating jobs, but also solving climate change by facilitating more bees pollinating our plants. And I love that combination of climate and empowering women. I think that's investing in women to solve the problems of our planet is the future.
Amazing. Mihaela, what is the biggest opportunity that you see in the climate economy, especially from where you sit at home? Like, what is something you wish someone would address that would perhaps make climate a more pressing topic of the day?
Well, in the last few years, we've had incredible dry periods without rain in our country, so that led to many wildfires, and we had a lot of forest fires. A lot of the forests are destroyed, and I don't really know what the solution is, because it's not that simple. You cannot just create a solution in one day. This is a problem that the whole planet is having. We also had the fires in Los Angeles. Los Angeles is far away from Macedonia, but we do have the same problem. So it needs a change in the system, how we understand the planet, how we act towards it, how our habits are, because the change doesn't start in some big corporation. It starts with each and every one of us. So we need to change our habits first. And the first time, I remember this really well, when I became climate aware, it was in 2015, and I was in Palermo in Italy for some Erasmus project. And they gave us some cups and gave us a marker, and they said, okay, write your name on the cup. Good. Now, for the next 10 days, this is going to be your cup, and you're going to drink from the same cup every day. And I was in shock, like, how can you drink from the same cup every day? But that happened. So we saved maybe thousands of cups, because it was a big project. So that is when I realized that each and every change that we make in our own lives impacts really on a larger scale.
Amanda, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, I was going to talk about the science to policy interface. I'm a boring old economist, and I went to a girls' school where we had this sewing teacher for science, because girls didn't need to know about science. And so as I have learned more and more about the science behind the climate crisis, the scientists have been telling us what was going to happen for the last 40 years, and they've been right. And they keep shouting louder and louder, and we aren't listening because they don't always use the language that is easy for us to understand. So I think what you're doing at the university is fantastic, to be able to express that in a way that students can understand, make changes in their daily life. But I think the bigger picture also is the science to policy interface. And we're working with the Interparliamentary Union, which is 182 of the 193 UN member countries, to launch a publication at COP in Brazil this year called A Parliamentarian's Global Guide to Climate Change and Climate Solutions. And so trying to really distill it, and I'm the beginner's mind, right? If I don't understand it, parliamentarians aren't going to understand it. So how is it that we explain the linkages between biodiversity, increased fires, what's happening with the AMOC, the overturning current that's now stopped for the first time or slowed down for the first time in the Atlantic. All of these things that are linked globally, as you pointed out, how do we bring that back down to local action that we can take once we have global understanding? And how do we take that a step further and have our policies incentivizing the right things? If you have $7 trillion a year in fossil fuel subsidies, what are you doing? You're encouraging people to use more fossil fuels. What do we not want to do? Exactly that. So it's how do we really align and ensure that everybody has a basic understanding of what's happening, and then to your point, what we can actually do about it. And it may not seem much, but you're right, just using a cup or water bottle again and again makes a difference. Having an electric car. I remember when I first arrived in Hawaii and met Julie Wrigley, and I said, oh, I'm so despondent about the climate crisis. And she said, well, are you driving an electric car? And I said, no. And she said, well, get one. And then she said, do you have solar panels on your roof? And now 1/3 of all homes have solar panels in Hawaii. And then she said, are you composting? There's 3 things, and you can measure, and you're now net zero. So it's just really empowering to know what you can do as an individual.
I actually learned today there is a study from the University of Stanford that it is actually more beneficial to charge the car during the day because it uses the the solar power. So it is way better for the economy.
That's amazing. If you look around the business landscape today, you've talked about, subsidies, but what is one thing you would change if you could say, we're leaving this in the past, we're not doing this anymore for the future of the planet? Taya, do you have something you would strike off?
Well, I'll have to bring again the issue of having more women in business. I would make sure there are corporate quotas for women on boards to get more women in decision-making places, because even where we've seen more women working, they're not going to those decision rooms. So that would be the one thing that I would want to see happen. Because I think we have the data. Thankfully there has been investment in research and data on both science and women's contributions. We have the facts, but they're not making it to the boardrooms.
Mihaela, what about you?
Well, I would always bet on education because I think that the hope lies in the future generations. So if we want the people of tomorrow to care more about the planet, we need to start with them in kindergarten and then teach them in primary school and then in secondary school and then at the university level. So through education, it is a slow process, it is a long process, but it will give results for sure.
I'd just like to second that. Both of these, absolutely, couldn't agree more. When I first met Julie Wrigley, she had done a deal to say, I'm going to give my first $100 million endowment to Arizona State University instead of Stanford, which was her alma mater, which now has a gift of $1.2 billion from John Doerr and does have a sustainability school. But this was 25 years ago. And she said, I want to give this money on the proviso that every student graduates with a sustainability competency. And ASU yesterday was named #1 #1 in the US for innovation, ahead of Stanford and MIT for the 11th year in a row. And all 200,000 students, biggest public university in the US, graduate with a sustainability competency. And I want to make an offer. We just launched a new School of Conservation Futures yesterday. If anybody would like to do exec ed, come see me and I'll organize that for you. I think it's really important to have it, as you say, from pre-K, but right through to grade.
Congratulations, that's so exciting. Taya, what about laws and regulations, whether on a national level or international level? What would be your top things to change change the future of the planet and to get more women involved in those decisions?
Well, I think there's still a lot of discrimination against women when it comes to accessing finance. So introducing protections to level the playing field when it comes to access to money is a key priority, and we still have a lot of countries that don't have those protections. And then women need collateral, and in many places, because of inheritance laws, social norms, they don't have access to property, and that limits them even further. So I think those would be the key to unlock some of the potential.
Tell us more about that. On both points, where do we need it the most? Which countries? Where is this most urgent?
Unfortunately, the issue is persistent everywhere. Laws, we do see some of these protections existing in European countries, the US, but the implementation is lacking everywhere. So we found that 40% of the supportive frameworks that you need to implement the laws don't exist, even in the richest countries. I think the areas where we need it the most are South Asia, Middle East and North Africa, and Sub-Saharan Africa, where we still see the most persistent challenges when it comes to women's legal rights.
And there's actually a great tool on the website. If you Google women, business and the law, you'll see that there is a really well laid out set of little rubrics that Tia and I worked on together, so you can see which countries and you can see what the laws are, the exact laws that need to be changed. So that's a tool for women's groups everywhere and male allies to use to advocate for change. That Taya and her team have done an amazing job making all that data transparent so it can be used for advocacy purposes.
And if I can add some of the policies to implement laws and make sure that financing gets into the hands of women. So besides having strong protections in the law, we also find that having national strategies on financial inclusion, programs to support small and medium enterprises, especially women owners, in accessing that finance, and sector segregated data. We still don't see that in many countries. During the COVID pandemic, the World Bank was trying to get more financing in the hands of women, and especially women entrepreneurs, and we couldn't find them because banks, even if they were collecting data on the gender of their account holders, when it came to companies, they weren't tracking that. So we couldn't find the women entrepreneurs to get financing to. So we really want to stress the importance of having this sex disaggregated data collected and used and publicly available.
And just to back that up, when I ran women's markets at Westpac, and I was the first national manager for women in business way back in 1998, we had that same problem. And we actually tagged initially, but now with AI, it can be done. And that showed us that women were better payers. I was the only woman on the business banking top team, and my colleagues said, oh, we don't want to lend money to women. They're not a good business proposition. Actually, we found that women were better payers, and in fact, their businesses had better success rates longer term. So hence we started the Global Banking Alliance for Women, and now there are over 50 banks who are members of that alliance, recognizing that while the laws still need to be changed, they can benefit from these characteristics that we're aware of, where women are in fact a really good financial investment.
Emma, can we have last thought?
Great. Well, any final words you want to leave everyone in? What's one thing everyone in this room can do to take action on climate, no matter what position they sit in, besides maybe more on the professional level? We've already talked about, the power of reusing your water bottle and your cups, but in their professional lives, what's one thing everyone here can do?
Become part of the We Empower UN SDG Challenge. We have 3 tiers, so you can join for free as well. Come see us afterwards, And that competition is designed to inspire, to invest in women, and then to ignite change with these incredible women role models. So come join the club, come see me.
I think one thing I'd love to emphasize is that some of these issues go hand in hand. So I've talked a lot about the lack of women's opportunities, but climate change and women's rights go hand in hand, and often they get overlooked. So when there is a huge climate crisis, all of a sudden all the funding goes to that. In Europe, everything's going to defense now, and some of these issues get sidelined. So I think, you know, what we can all do privately and professionally is support policies and politicians that promote climate change and women's rights at the same time.
And Mihaela, what about you?
Well, as a last note, I would like to add that in the last few years we have seen a lot of small and medium-sized enterprises in my country. They have created new initiatives. They have put solar panels on. They have, it's not a big deal, but it has made such a great change in the electricity and in the amount of money they pay each month toward the electricity companies. I don't know how to put it in English, but still I think that each company, even though I'm sounding repetitive, can do something. It is a small step, but it is a good step towards a better future.
Well, thank you so much to the three of you for your incredible insight.